It's open season once again. 6 months before Uttar Pradesh elections, Jitin Prasada jumps ship. Gandhi loyalist dons saffron stripes.
मेरा कांग्रेस पार्टी से 3 पीढ़ियों का साथ रहा है, तो ये महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय जो मैंने लिया है, बहुत विचार मंथन और सोच के बाद मैं इस फैसले पे पहुंचा हूं कि अगर आज कोई इस देश में असली माने में कोई राजनीतिक दल है, जो संस्थागत इंस्टीट्यूशनल दल, वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी है।
BJP's new Brahmin face to appease Brahmins before elections? Or poor electoral track record will prove to be a liability? Asset or liability for BJP? Setback or opportunity to reset for the Congress? Jitin Prasada joining BJP. Big blow to Congress or inconsequential? Top focus on To The Point this evening.
Good evening, viewers. I'm Preeti Choudhry. You're watching To The Point. We're going to break the story down further in terms of who is Jitin Prasad. Is he important in the scheme of things? You're going 6 months before elections in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Importantly, what has been his electoral track record and why is it that the BJP finds interest in Jitin Prasad? We're going to break it down for our viewers, but let's quickly at this point of time cut across to Congress spokesperson Supriya Shrinate. I am also joined by Rita Bahuguna Joshi. She is the MP from Prayagraj and she herself is a Brahmin face and had defected from the Congress to the BJP. Till now, she hasn't been given any other position, but Rita Bahuguna Joshi till now is an MP representing Prayagraj. Before I go to Ms. Joshi, she's going to be joining us in just 10 seconds. I want to cut across to you, Supriya, and I just, forget about whether he's going to be an asset, liability, what he was for the Congress. I want to stress on 2 things right on top what Jitin Prasada says. He says, मेरी 3 पीढ़ियों का connection रहा है Congress से, and then he goes on to say, if in this day and age there is one party which is institutional in the real word, it is the BJP. Isn't it a shame to lose somebody like him?
More than a shame, I think, I want to clarify here that Jitin is a good acquaintance, a good friend, I would say. I'm very, very depressed to see Jitin do what he did. The reality is that you can have ideological differences, you can have differences in terms of, the choices that you make, but you don't do a 360-degree somersault. And I hope Jitin is going to listen to me, because it is important to understand what we are doing here. This is not just about getting to positions of power. This is not just about being in government. This is not just about a Rajya Sabha seat or a cabinet berth or being an MLA in UP. This is a lot more than that, Preeti. And I say it with all honesty and with my hand on my heart. This is an ideological war that we are fighting. You can't make a 360-degree somersault and go to a party which has stood for everything that you have stood against for in the last 21 years of your political life. The reality is that Jitin was a beneficiary of the Congress being in power for 10 years. He was minister in various ministries. I am not taking away from the fact that, he was capable. I am only alluding to the fact that you don't switch ship because you think the other side is strong.
No, you also, Supriya, with your permission, I want to play out the entire story on what exactly happened, because at one end to say you don't, switch ships at a time when the sea is rough, but you do switch ship if your captain really doesn't honor you or really doesn't appreciate what you're doing. You do switch ships then. But, that's for later. I want to, once again, before we are joined by our other guests, break it down. And who is Jitin Prasad? How does he matter in the scheme of politics when we are 6 months away from elections?
Will Congress leader Jitin Prasada prove to be dead wood or a big catch for the BJP?
इस दल में मैं था, मुझे ये महसूस होने लगा कि हम लोग राजनीति में हैं और राजनीति एक माध्यम है, दल भी माध्यम है। अगर आप अपने लोगों के हितों की रक्षा नहीं कर सकते, उनके लिए काम नहीं आ सकते, तो आपका राजनीति और दल से में रहने में क्या औचित्य है?
Who is Jitin Prasada? Gandhi loyalist, former Union Minister, Prasada was said to be a member of the Rahul Gandhi coterie till he joined the infamous Congress group of 23 who wrote a letter to Congress High Command seeking a full-time active part president. His political lineage is tied to the Congress. His grandfather was a Brahmin landlord from Shahjahanpur in Uttar Pradesh. His father was Jitin Prasada, former AICC General Secretary and Political Secretary of Rajiv Gandhi and PV Narasimha Rao. Enjoying huge clout in the Shahjahanpur belt in Uttar Pradesh, his father challenged Sonia Gandhi for the post of party president in 2000. In definition, Jitin Prasada is a dynast politician. Of late, his electoral report card has been far from impressive, with him losing the last 3 elections he fought to even losing his deposit in 2019 Lok Sabha elections. But it's not the lackluster electoral performance that has led BJP to induct him. The BJP hopes with him to appease what is said to be the disgruntled Brahman vote. The BJP hopes he will be a key Brahman face with an influential family background. They would expect him to restore the support of Brahmins rumored to be upset with Yogi. After Joshi and Kalraj Mishra, the BJP would hope he finds traction as the party's Brahman face in Uttar Pradesh. Lastly, the optics of a Gandhi loyalist going saffron is something the BJP has always loved. However, the flip side is that he is not an electoral asset with losing 3 straight elections. He is not a pan-Uttar Pradesh leader. He is not known for organizational abilities as he failed as General Secretary in charge of West Bengal in the last general elections. He may also end up like Rita Bahuguna Joshi, who even after switching to the BJP, being a Brahman face herself, remains no more than an MP. For the Congress, it's another example of young ambition defecting, with the Gandhis refusing to course correct even though neck deep in party crisis. Jitin Prasada quitting the Congress is a loss, giving the party now another opportunity to press the reset button. But will Jitin Prasada prove to be an asset for the BJP? The 6-month road to Uttar Pradesh elections will stand testimony to that. With Bureau Inputs, Preeti Choudhry, India Today.
Okay, viewers, let's cut across to our guests. I'm joined right now by Supriya Shrinate from the Congress. I have Pradyot Barman, former Congress leader. He's gone ahead, broken, formed his own party, extremely successful now. I also have Rajat Sethi, author and political analyst, and I'm joined by Rita Bahuguna Joshi. Appreciate you joining us, sir. Pradyot, can I, appreciate you joining, all of you from joining us. Pradyot, I'd like to begin with you. Whether he's an asset or a liability aside, what is it that makes young talent defect from the Congress?
See, I don't think that you can make it a blanket, you can have a blanket answer for that. Sometimes people leave because they want a better post, greener pastures. Obviously, this time more on the side of BJP because they've been in power for a long time. Sometimes people leave, in my case, I left because I just didn't think that my party at that moment was responding to the plight of the indigenous people of Tripura, the Tiprasa people on the CAA movement in my state. So somebody else may leave because they just feel that they are suffocated. So you cannot exactly pinpoint it, but I do believe that when a leader leaves, and I've just heard the statement of Jitin Prasad, it looks very clear that he is not left because of ideology. He is not left because of any other reason. He is just left because he thinks that BJP is a better bet than Congress right now in UP. And so he's gone and done that. Has he lost out a lot? I think if he had persevered or formed his own party, that would have given him more credibility. But then he's taken the easier option out. Well, all the best to him. I wish him well. But I don't think it will have any impact on the Congress or the BJP in Uttar Pradesh.
You think it's inconsequential?
I think it's completely inconsequential. You see, I'll give you an example. I have left. I've created my own party in Tripura. We have won the election. So I didn't jump over to the BJP. Mamata Banerjee left the Congress party and today is one of the great leaders who've done a turnaround. then of course Jyotiraditya Scindia has gone and done what he has done.
And got a whole government down. So there was political impact there.
So, and Rita ji is there as well. We all know her, late Bahuguna ji. But then, sometimes when people cross over completely from the Congress to the BJP or from the BJP to the Congress, then it does raise many eyebrows, because then where is your ideology in politics? And to be very honest, I don't think he's made it very clear that ideology doesn't matter as much as serving the people of his constituency, which have already made up their mind to with a certain side.
But on that front, Pradyot, he's at least being honest. If you'd allow, and stay with me, I want to bring in Rita Bahuguna Joshi as well. I think we finally have her line, and I want to bring in Rajat Sethi, who's an author and political analyst. Bahuguna ji, बस एक यही सवाल है मैम कि आप ब्राह्मण फेस थे, कहा जा रहा है बीजेपी ब्राह्मण फेस के तौर पर लेके आए हैं जितिन प्रसाद को। आप खुद ब्राह्मण फेस रहे, आप भी अभी तक एक एमपी हैं, या ना कैबिनेट में शामिल हुए हैं या कहीं और शामिल नहीं हुए। आपको क्यों लगता है कि ये डिफेक्शन हुआ है, और आपको लगता है कि जितिन प्रसाद जी कुछ कर पाएंगे एक ब्राह्मण फेस के तौर पे, क्योंकि आप भी वही ट्रैजेक्टरी थी, क्रोनोलॉजी थी करियर की?
देखिए, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि होता है, और हमारे जैसे लोग राजनीति में आए थे देश के लिए, हित में काम करने के लिए, जनता की सेवा करने के लिए। हमने 25 साल अपने जीवन के कांग्रेस पार्टी को दिया। ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया जी हों, सचिन जी हों, और हमारे अभी आप देखिए जितिन आए हैं, हम लोग सब, हिमंता जी हैं, सचिन भी आने वाले हैं, बहुत जल्दी आएंगे, क्योंकि उनका भी दुर्गति की हुई है पार्टी ने। हमारा आपसे कहना यह है कि पिछले 7 वर्षों में अगर आप देखिए तो भारत की राजनीति की दिशा बदली है, और हमारे जैसे लोग तभी पार्टी छोड़कर कांग्रेस को निकले जब उन्होंने देखा कि कांग्रेस नेतृत्व विहीन हो गई है, उसकी दिशा सही नहीं है, उसको ये पता नहीं कि उसे कहाँ जाना है, हर वक्त कटाक्ष करना, हर वक्त नेगेटिव पॉलिटिक्स करना। तो देखिए, अभी वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ जो नकारात्मक विषयों पे बात कर रहे हैं, सकारात्मक बात ये करते ही नहीं। राष्ट्र का निर्माण कैसे हो, आप बताइए। 60 साल आपकी सरकार लगभग रही, आप सत्ता में रहे आगे पीछे, लेकिन क्यों आखिर राष्ट्र ने आपको रिजेक्ट किया? और जब नरेंद्र मोदी जी अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं तो कहीं तो शाबाशी दीजिए। आखिर अंतर्राष्ट्रीय नीति हो, पड़ोसियों के साथ नीति हो, या आर्थिक नीति हो, और या कोविड के प्रथम दौर को और द्वितीय दौर को बहुत तेजी से संभालने का काम हो। अब राष्ट्रीय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय जो एक इतनी बड़ी आपदा है, स्वास्थ्य आपदा, उस पर भी आप राजनीति करते हैं। वैक्सीन का आपने मजाक उड़ाया, अपने साइंटिस्ट का मजाक उड़ाया। देखिए, सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हुई, आपने अपनी पार्टी, अपने देश को कटघरे में खड़ा कर दिया। पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ, चीन के खिलाफ कोई कार्रवाई होती है, आप हमको कटघरे में खड़ा कर देते हैं राष्ट्र को। तो देखिए, 2016 में मैंने समझ लिया था कि इस पार्टी को सिर्फ चुनाव से चुनाव निकलना है, इसे कोई ठोस काम जनता के लिए करना नहीं है। मैं राजनीति में आई थी क्योंकि सकारात्मक भूमिका निभाऊं, बहुत कुछ किया, जेल गई पार्टी के लिए, मेरा घर जलाया गया, मैंने, मेरे ख्याल से 825 ब्लॉक्स हैं, हर ब्लॉक में 2-2 बार, 3-3 बार दौरे किए, लेकिन नेतृत्व विहीन। अब निर्णय आपके हाथ में नहीं होंगे, निर्णय दिल्ली से होंगे, एक परिवार के होंगे, ये आत्मावलोकन क्यों नहीं करते? क्या आखिर इतने लोग चले गए और G23 बना बैठा है? जिन लोगों ने पूरी जिंदगी आपकी पार्टी को दिया, हट रहे हैं, तो कमी आप में है, और अब इसकी चर्चा भी करना बेकार है। देखिए, कांग्रेस लगभग उत्तर भारत में समाप्त हो रही है।
रीटा भागुना जी, आपने बोला कांग्रेस इलेक्शन से इलेक्शन जाती है, पर बहुत बीजेपी को इस बार इसीलिए देखेंगे कि उनकी भी तो आए 6 महीने में, they have their eyes on the UP election, the reason that they've bought Jitin Prasad in. But is it an astute political move? I just want to bring in Rajat Sethi and Supriya. I'll just come back to you after that, if you allow me. Let me introduce him. He hasn't spoken yet. Mr. Sethi, look at his electoral track record. He's lost 3 consecutive elections, be it 2014, 2017 Vidhan Sabha, 2019 Lok Sabha. He was made in charge of West Bengal, and he abandoned the campaign midway. West Bengal, Congress had 0 number of seats. Talking about that, in 2019, he was asked to contest from Lucknow, refused to do so, then went on to lose his deposit. Now, is he really an asset?
See, I think Jitin ji today in the press conference made it quite clear that he was precisely in the wrong apparatus, wrong party to carry forward the the interests of the public that he was serving. So I think if you change the vessel and change the apparatus, perhaps he expects that he will be able to better serve the people. And at the end of the day, it is reaching out to as many people as possible, bringing them into the party fold. That is perhaps what BJP is currently working on. Every vote matters. And if they believe that Jitin Prasada can add more votes to their kitty without perhaps diluting their ideology, it is a win-win scenario for both of them. Congress used to be the grand old party. It is right now neither grand, old it might be, it is rather just the old party. You'll see a lot of old leaders there. All the young faces who do not see any future in this party are gradually quitting the Congress and coming out of the fold and joining the BJP, because that's the only viable option that they see in the near future.
Okay, all right. Mr. Sethi, I want to go back to Supriya Shrinate right now. Supriya Shrinate, what you heard from Rita, Bahuguna, Joshi is very clear. Ultimately, who takes decisions? She says she, went to the jail for the party. She did so much for the party. What did she get in return? Nothing. So when you talked about earlier that, it's jumping ship when the weather is rough or when the sea is rough, it's also jumping ship when your captain really doesn't care about you.
Actually, quite the contrary, and I will not refute Rita ji on too many things. She's a senior. She's worked with my father, so I don't want to get down to questioning some of what he has said, but I will go back to making the point that I began making. In politics, I agree everybody comes to serve the people, but people also choose the political ideology they want to be aligned with. For 21 years, when the Congress was in power, you are aligned with one ideology. Then you do a somersault completely 360 degree and go across to an ideology that you have opposed for the last 21 years. How do you justify that? It can't be. I mean, this smacks of political opportunism. When Jitin today said in the press conference that I have been seeing for the last 10 years, did he forget that in 3 of those last 10 years, he was a serving minister in the UPA government across education, steel, HRD, and also oil and natural gas? I don't want to question her, but with all due respect, ma'am, do you forget you were the UPCC chief in Uttar Pradesh and you got ample opportunity? So, we can all turn around and today play this blame game. The reality is it smacks of political opportunism, and quite frankly, the BJP is too happy to do so, but they will never answer questions on what is happening. What is the dynamic between Prime Minister Modi and Chief Minister Yogi right now? I want to know what is happening in Uttar Pradesh. What's happening between Mr. Sharma and Mr. Yogi?
You can say that while you're saying this, Ms. Shrinate. Sachin Pilot says that in Rajasthan, the people dyed in wool for Congress are not even being heard. That's your party. This person is still in your party, right? Let's not get there right now. I want to bring in Pradyot back. That's why I want to bring it. That's why, madam.
That's exactly the point I want to make. Preeti,
madam, come back and make it.
That's exactly the point I want to make.
Madam, come back and make it. Please come back and make it. Okay. Pradyot, I want to bring you back into this conversation because ultimately, Jitin Prasada might be a great bet. We'll only know in the 6-month time from now. Or like you said, he might be completely inconsequential. But the fact is he's still young talent defecting. The fact is that the Gandhis or the high command as such is still not looking at course correcting.
No, I'm very clear that, let me say something which Ms. Shrinate had said. Political opportunism is there in every party. I mean, the day we decided, the Congress party decided to align with the Communist Party in West Bengal, wasn't that political opportunism? When we were fighting them in Tripura and we were fighting them in Kerala. So political opportunism is there. I mean, to be very honest, we've seen the PDP, BJP alliance in Kashmir. We have seen what's happening in Maharashtra. Political opportunism is there. But I believe that when young leaders, when someone like a Jyotiraditya, someone like Jitin, even Sachin, if they jump from Congress and go directly to the BJP, there is nothing much that they can say. It cannot be on ideology. So let's be very honest. They should be honest that they are saying that they are going there because it's not about ideology. It's about better opportunity, or maybe there's a lacuna in the Congress party. But the fact is that we all realize that this country needs a strong opposition. I am not in the Congress. I have defeated the Congress in this council election. But the fact is, I do realize that we need a strong opposition. So it is extremely important that the Congress party gets its act together and gets a full-time president so that even allies or even other parties know who they can talk to.
Okay.
We don't know who we can talk to. I believe Jitin doesn't know who he has to talk to. I believe
But
that...
you know, that's bizarre, Pradyot, because he was supposed to be the core member of Rahul Gandhi's team. If he still doesn't know who he has to talk to, it's a crying shame. But, you know, Supriya, I'll come back to you. Let me go back to Ms. Bahuguna. Ms. Bahuguna, मैं आपसे यही सवाल करना चाहूँगी. All right, okay, we're having a bit of a problem with her audio line. We're going to correct that and go back to her. I'll ask our PCR to do it. But yes, Ms. Shrinate, you wanted to come in. The fact is, who do you talk to?
You know, it is bizarre that I hear that, and I will tell you why. When we were in power for 10 years, Jitin was a minister across 3 or 4 ministries. When we were in opposition, he was elevated to the CWC, which is the highest decision-making body of the party. He was in charge of an election as crucial as West Bengal. He was given a seat on the table as far as the CWC is concerned. You know, he was in charge of West. I don't understand. If we are in opposition, we can't obviously elevate him to a position of power within the government, because we are not in government right now. So you elevate somebody when in opposition, you respect them when in government.
But Supriya, you are from Uttar Pradesh. Did he want to be the party president and you gave it to Mr. Lallu?
You know, quite frankly, Ajay Lallu was a chosen candidate because he is a grassroots worker. He has been consistently working, and that's exactly what
Jitin Prasada was not working.
Change. I'm not saying he was or wasn't working, but the reality is that Ajay Lallu has been to jail 10 times.
But the fact is,
president. Was Jitin willing to get his
fair
hands
enough. So
dirty
then
in Uttar Pradesh?
either you say he was more he deserved it more than Jitin Prasad, because Jitin Prasad wanted to be party president UP and he wasn't given that post. But stay with me. I want to
anybody in a state, Preeti, wants to be party president.
Okay, fine. I want to go across for a final question to Ms. Rita Bahuguna Joshi. I finally have her back on the line, if you'd allow me. Bahuguna ji, सवाल तो ये है ना, देखिए ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया को बीजेपी ने अप्रोच किया, उन्होंने सरकार गिराने के लिए। सचिन पायलट को सरकार गिराने के लिए अप्रोच किया। आप एक फेस थे, ब्राह्मण फेस थे, दिक्कत आ रही है बीजेपी को, ब्राह्मण वोट पे आपको लेके आए, पर आपको भी दिया क्या? अभी तक आप भी एमपी ही हैं। ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया को कहा गया है, बोला था कि मंत्री बनाएंगे कैबिनेट में, अभी तक तो कुछ नहीं हुआ है। तो ये अपॉर्चुनिटी लगती है आपको? कुछ आपको लगता है कि आपको बीजेपी में जाके ज्यादा मिला है?
देखिए, कोई कोर्ट और पोच करने की बात नहीं है। ये एक मुख्य धारा के हम लोगों ने राजनीति में बहुत साथ काम किया है। 30 वर्ष की तो मेरी एक्टिव पॉलिटिकल लाइफ हो गई है। राजनीति देखा तो बहुत देखा, 50-55 वर्षों तक। मैं यही कहूंगी, इस समय राष्ट्र को आवश्यकता है सकारात्मक सोच के सब व्यक्ति एक जगह पर हों और एक जगह आकर इस कोविड की महामारी से अपनी अर्थव्यवस्था को फिर से वापस पटरी पर लाने के लिए और अपने देश में जो केंद्र की योजनाएं हैं, सबका साथ सबके विकास के लिए, उनको जमीन तक पहुंचाने के लिए हमको अपने सामाजिक और अपने दायित्व कराने।
रीटा भागुना जी, आपने सवाल का जवाब तो नहीं दिया, क्योंकि मैंने वही पूछा था कि आपको लाया गया था एक रीजन के लिए। अभी भी आप एक एमपी है, प्रयागराज से एमपी है, ना कैबिनेट में है। पर चलिए, we'll only know. I'm afraid, I know Supriya you wanted to come in. I'm afraid that's all the time that I have for. Thank you all 4 of you for joining us. A quick break. We'll only know whether Jitin Prasad proves to be a liability or an asset. It's a 6-month-long road to elections in Uttar Pradesh. We'll know in those 6 months. Appreciate you all for joining us.